For years now, it happens from time to time. Someone will open a topic on IMDb 2, Nowhere, or Sakar, and will shout in the opening post, "Give Hawkeye the helmet." So far, that outcry has been unsuccessful, and it's more a running gag now than something else. Until episode 2 of Hawkeye aired last Wednesday. An actual attempt was made on screen to give Hawkeye a helmet. Kevin Feige must be among us on Sakar. There's no other way. Hello and welcome to the Review of Champions. It's time to talk about the new show on Disney Plus, Hawkeye. We saw episode 1, Never Meet Your Heroes, and episode 2, Hide and Seek. And we're going to talk about it with a nice little panel. You all know them, but I will introduce them anyway. All the way from Texas, Mr. Taylor First.
Hey.
All the way from Florida, Mr. Jeff Sloboda.
Hey guys.
And all the way from Hades, Mr. Lord Deathman.
Hey everyone.
Before we start reviewing the show, I would like to ask you all to hit that like and subscribe button and maybe join our forum on Sakar, sakar.freeforums.net. If you sign up, join us. And if you want to, you can join us on the podcast or review. Also, please make sure to check out the YouTube channel of the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Jeff Sloboda runs a nice channel, and you can check out all kinds of reviews also over there. We're going to talk spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episodes yet, go check them out first and then come back to this video. Well, let's start. Jeff, let's start with you. What did you think about the first 2 episodes? Keep it short, please.
I felt like they were pretty long. I think they were both like 50 or 51 minutes altogether with the credits.
Yeah, so, about 45 minutes.
Okay, all right. So I mean, I thought they were pretty long, and of course, I would be remiss to not bring up how like awesome the fan service callback was and like the throwback was to the beginning of episode 1, where you see like the origin story of Kate Bishop and the Battle of New York and everything and whatnot, and really cool scenes like from her perspective with Hawkeye fighting, against the Chitauri or whatever. I felt like the first episode was better than the second episode, a little stronger. But overall, I mean, I thought that it was all pretty cool. Pretty solid. I thought both episodes were pretty solid. It was enjoyable to watch, and I'm really interested to see what this Echo character is going to be all about. Okay.
Well, you can talk about everything a little bit later. Taylor, what were your thoughts?
I think the show's off to a great start. I think we met Kate Bishop, learned everything we need to know about her, at least up to this point. We've starting to meet some villains. We've got to solve, and had a whole bunch of Hawkeye. So overall, like I said, off to a great start so far.
And Lord Deathman.
I know. I'm just like, I just watched this, finished the second episode about 2 hours ago, if my calculations are correct. But I'm going to echo Taylor and Jeff's sentiments. They're really off to a good start with this show. I enjoyed what they were doing, and I didn't really know what to expect with Hawkeye. For the first time, the marketing didn't really say much because it was all kind of holiday themed. I didn't think the show was going to be entirely holiday themed like that. But now that I've actually seen it, I've enjoyed it. I think this has like a kind of a lighter touch than all of the other shows. But it's still, there's something charming about the chemistry between the 2 Hawkeyes and the story they're telling here. So good start.
Absolutely, I agree with all of you. It was a rock solid start for me as well. I really enjoyed the vibe. Maybe it's me, but I got a little bit of a Die Hard vibe from it. Maybe it's the Christmas and the action combined or something, but I don't know. It just felt that way. And yeah, I loved Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. Well, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye is always enjoyable. So, yeah, great start for me as well. Well, Taylor, you can go on and give your elaborate thoughts now, and maybe if there are things you didn't like, throw them in there as well.
Yeah, I like Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. She's great. She's totally believable in the role. I like the chemistry between the two, the relationship that they're building. I like Hawkeye, what he's been doing so far. I like we're still learning a little bit about the villains, but so far I like what I've seen so far with the villains, including the guy who's marrying Kate's mother and the tracksuit mafia. We're not sure if they're connected yet or not, so I'm interested to see how it all comes together. The mystery of the break-in, the theft. I like it's all very street level. It kind of feels to me, it felt a little bit like the Netflix shows in that it's a very street level, grounded story, and I like that. And it's perfect, of course, for Hawkeye. So there's nothing I don't like so far. I'm really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. Lord Deathman.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the show. It feels like it's coming. The timing for it is right around the holidays. They've captured what that's like in New York pretty well. And I have to say, again, this is a show where this is the first Disney Plus show where I honestly just had no idea what to expect. So my expectations were fairly low. I wasn't like a huge Hawkeye fan before he came to live action and all of that stuff. I mean, I liked Hawkeye pretty well as much as the next Hawkeye fan, but never like a super fan where I would say I needed to see a solo series about Hawkeye. But this is scratching an itch. I'm really surprised about it. Just taking this from the comic book reader sort of perspective, this is based on Matt Fraction's work with Hawkeye around the time they were doing Marvel Now, and they were trying to get us to accept all of these different younger versions of all of these characters, like Miss Marvel and Kate Bishop and Elias Cho as the new Hulk. So I didn't really care for My Life as a Weapon, even though everybody kind of loved it at the time that it came out. I thought it was okay. I was like, all right, this is a nice little adventure with two Hawkeyes in it and some really weird clownish villains, literally. But now that I see it in live action, I have a much better appreciation for Kate Bishop as a character, and it doesn't feel like somebody's trying to do this bait and switch where we're taking away your real Hawkeye and giving you like Hawkeye Light. Haley Steinfeld, people say this all the time about young actors in Hollywood, but she really is one of the best actors of her generation. So she's doing a fantastic job with this. I like where the show's going. I like this really kind of light touch. This feels like there's like a Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis feel to it in terms of the repartee and the comedy. Hawkeye as the straight man, and then there's another kind of bumbling Hawkeye. So I'm digging it. I really, there's not much to not like about the show, except that I was just never really big fans of the Tracksuit Mafia as villains with their whole bro shtick. It's just as weird in live action as it kind of was to me in the comic books.
Yeah, it felt a bit clownesque to me.
They're kind of buffoony, but in all fairness to the show, that's how they were in the comic books.
Yeah, well, I don't mind it, but yeah, it has a danger of turning into slapstick, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But yeah, Jeff, any dislikes for you? Major likes you want to shout out to us?
I mean, it's hard to really pinpoint anything that I can really think of where I really had a problem with anything that occurred in episode 1 or 2 as I'm like trying to like look back at it. I guess one thing I want to mention, bouncing off of what Lord Deathman was just talking about with the Matt Fraction run of Hawkeye, that comic book series was a lot more graphic and a lot more dark with Kate Bishop and everything in Hawkeye than like what we're getting in this show, without question.
But it makes sense. It's Disney Plus. I mean, kids are watching this. Yeah.
No, I know, but it's unfortunate because I really like the vibe of the Matt Fraction comic book run is almost similar to like I would almost kind of compare like that Hawkeye to like Daredevil kind of like there's some similarities there. But you know, I wouldn't have minded maybe seeing Hawkeye like throw down hand to hand a little bit more, like with some of those, you know, tracksuit mafia dudes. I wouldn't have minded seeing him actually like throw fists and everything and whatnot. I mean, a little bit more action would have been kind of cool, I think.
Yeah.
There
We
was
got a little bit of that at the end of the first episode, of course, when he saves Kate from the car, but
it was very quick. It was very quick, and
you see it from the car's perspective, so it's not really good in the shot.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to see Kate Bishop mixing it up and finding out that she has all this training with martial arts and like, you know, the bow and arrow and you know, gymnastics or whatever, and you know, that I like the whole origin story aspect of it. I think the first 2 episodes were really put in place to be more of like suppositional episodes, that are then going to lead up to there being probably more action. But I just want to bring up the fact that we might get Kingpin in episode 3 or episode 4, you know, so there's that to think about. And like I said, I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we end up getting out of this Echo character. I'm really excited about that. Disney and Marvel they're really slinging their belt on her in terms of like, you know, promoting the Disney Plus series with her that's going to be coming out next year and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see what we get out of that character. I thought the actress Alakwa Cox or whatever looks really cool as Echo from what I saw of her in episode 2. With Kate Bishop, Haley Steinfeld is really excellent, and I think that she was really good in the first 2 episodes. I mean, you got to remember, she was in True Grit, like back in 2010 or whatever, and I think that she actually got nominated for an Oscar or like an Academy Award or whatever. Yeah. You know, Best Supporting Actress or something like that. So yeah, I mean, she's very talented. But what I wonder is, how is she going to fare when she's on her own, like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and there's no Hawkeye there to buttress her?
Well, like you said, they introduced her as a specialist in martial arts, gymnastics, fencing, and of course archery. So I think she can hold her own. But yeah, it's still a bit strange to see her as a relatively small girl going up against like a bear of a guy, a Russian tracksuit mafia guy, and holding her own. That feels still a bit weird to me. But yeah, anyway, Taylor, you had a follow up.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job in that aspect, actually. They showed us that she's been training her entire life in all these different areas, but she's still not at Hawkeye or Black Widow level, and they showed that. She took some shots. She couldn't handle, you know, 5 or 6 guys at once, but she did, you know, but they still showed that she has a lot of skills, and we can see that she's going to develop further and become, you know, a Marvel Avengers level type hero here in the future, but that she's not there yet. So they didn't do the infamous Mary Sue where she's instantly perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a really good job.
Like they did with the Katie character in Shang-Chi.
Possibly. But yeah, but I think they did a good job with that. I think like I said, we learned that she's skillful, extremely skillful, but she's still inexperienced, and she hasn't had a lot of real world experience. She's done a lot of sports fighting and competitive archery. Okay, well, it's a little different in a street fight, and it showed that. So I think we're going to see her develop more along the way. So again, I think they did a good job in that respect.
Lord Deathman, you also had a follow up.
I did, and Taylor kind of said most of it very articulately. She's not a Mary Sue. I wanted to bring that up, and Taylor already mentioned that. And yeah, I think the idea that she has had all of this training but no practical experience is a good way to sort of differentiate her from her comic book counterpart. And I didn't find Kate Bishop in the comic books to be very likable at all as a character. She's also wealthy in the comic books, but she tends to flaunt it a little bit more during the Fraction run, which, as Jeff pointed out, is a little darker, a bit I don't want to say more sophisticated than what we're seeing in the Disney Plus, but I just wanted to bring up the point that she is much more likable on this show, and that's what's kind of selling me on Hawkeye 2.
Feels like I'm going around in circles. Jeff?
Yeah, honestly, I just wanted to point out that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like what they're doing with this show and everything, but if they would have given us a Ronin Disney Plus series with Hawkeye as Ronin, like during the time, before Endgame or whatever, I would have been just as happy with that.
Yeah, I can imagine. It was an interesting part of the Hawkeye history we had so far. Yeah, but maybe we get some flashbacks.
I'd love me some Ronin, Grandmaster.
Yeah, I know, but maybe we'll get some flashbacks. You never know. Taylor.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some Ronin flashbacks. What's the deal with the sword? Why does that guy want that Ronin sword so bad? But we'll see. To what you guys said earlier, Jeff and Lord Deathman, you both mentioned the comics runs. I haven't read them, but you both mentioned that they're darker, and that's fine. But those type of comics are just not mass appeal. All right, the fandom for those types of comics, well, about 50% of that fandom is on this panel here today. Okay, they don't sell numbers. They don't sell movie tickets. They don't sell subscriptions to Disney Plus. They're just not a mass appeal. They're too niche to be brought into the MCU. It's just a fact.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Jacques Duquesne, if I say it correctly, is swordsman in the comics. So that's probably why he's interested in the sword. I'm not familiar further with the character, except from what I quickly read. He's started as a villain, joined the Avengers at some point. I don't know.
He was supposedly Hawkeye's mentor. If you go on by one take on Hawkeye's origin, Hawkeye does have another mentor called Trickshot. But the swordsman is widely known as the person that trained him. I don't think they're going in that direction with the show, but as one of the being the edgelord, closer to edgelord and darker, I do hope they bring in the clown assassin that was in the Fraction run, because that was a pretty fun character, even though it was a little dark. But I have a feeling that we're not going to see Clown, and Clown is probably being replaced by Echo in this. Jeff, I don't know if you'd agree with that in terms of the difference between.
No, but what I would like to point out, Deathman, you got me thinking there for a minute. We're going to get Yelena Belova in this show at some point too. Don't forget.
True.
Yeah. A lot of people are expecting her to show up this coming week, but we'll just have to wait and see. Hey guys, LARPing in the MCU. Any thoughts?
Who's ready to LARP?
Yeah, not my most favorite thing. Not the coolest thing out of everything that I saw in the episodes.
Well, it's better than Broadway musicals. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And wasn't there. You never know. They didn't see him. He was so small. Anyway, it would have been Hank Pym's Ant-Man, if at all. Okay. You know what? We're gonna rate both episodes. Give me your number for episode 1. Give me a number for episode 2. Jeff, I'm gonna start with you.
All right. Episode 1, I would say I probably would give it like a 7.5. Probably. I want to move it up to an 8, but I'm gonna stick around. I'm gonna stick at a 7.5, and then I feel like episode 2 was more on the lines of maybe like a 6.5.
Okay, fair enough. Lord Deathman?
Since I saw them like back to back, it's kind of blurring like where one thing ended and another sort of started. I'm gonna go a little higher than Jeff and give the first episode. I thought the first episode, especially with the Battle of New York stuff at the beginning, I'm putting that more at an 8. And I will go a little lower at like a 7 for the second episode. So, yeah.
Okay. Taylor?
Yeah, this is really, really tough. I have no complaints. So for first episode, I'll have to go with 10 out of 10. And the second one, oh man, that was really troublesome there. So I can only give that one a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you did there. Well, for the first episode, I would say it was an 8 out of 10. And the second episode, I would go for 7 out of 10. Not that it was bad or anything. It's just it was a bit of a continuation, and if you look at it as an act one of a movie, it dragged a little bit at the end, if you know what I mean. But we'll see how it develops further. I think we get a scene we already saw. It was released by Marvel earlier in episode 3, their escape.
Taylor, are you getting a contact high or something maybe off of my vape or something like that with that rating or?
Said, man, I have nothing to complain about, so I have no reason to take any points away.
Hey, I got nothing but respect and love for you, brother.
Did you actually enjoy Rogers the musical? That felt like a little bit of filler to me in the first one.
No, I think it actually served an important purpose of setting the situation and getting us into Hawkeye's head a little bit there.
Yeah, and yeah. They released a song, by the way. They were singing during the sequence. They released the full audio for that. So if you want to listen to the song, "Save the City," it's called, I think. You can find it on YouTube or Spotify or whatever. Live action MCU film series. So you know what? We're gonna bring back a section we call Cannonfodder.
Cannonfodder.
And in Cannonfodder, we discuss those fan theories, and those we will judge them by either buying, selling, or hold on those fan theories. The crazier, the better. If you have a fan theory, send it to us, and maybe we will discuss it on the show. You never know. Well, I've been looking online for a few fan theories. I found three. And the first fan theory we are going to discuss in Cannonfodder, this series, was already hinted by Jeff a little bit. Kingpin will show up in Hawkeye, the series, and not just any Kingpin, but it will be Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. It will be ushering the soft reboot of the Netflix shows everybody is rumoring about. So. Yeah, well, let's start with you, Jeff. We get Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin in Hawkeye. Buy, sell, or hold?
I'm buying it. I don't see how it's not how we don't end up getting it. If we're going to have Echo, Maya Lopez, then it would only make sense for the Kingpin to pop in at some point during the show.
Okay. Taylor?
I would absolutely love for Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin to show up in this show. I would jump out of my seat and cheer if that were to happen while I was watching. But I don't think it's going to. I'm going to sell at this point in time.
Okay. Fair enough. Lord Deathman, Vincent D'Onofrio returning as the Kingpin. Are you excited? Will you buy, sell, or hold?
Much like my esteemed colleague on the panel, Taylor, I would love for that to happen. Vincent D'Onofrio was fantastic as the Kingpin in Daredevil. There are two things, though, which is going to make this a hold for me. One is that if you go back and read Vince D'Onofrio's tweets about the whole thing, he sounds really thirsty for it, like it was something he was trying to make happen, and not necessarily that something was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So he was like, yeah, I need to get the fandom to get me on to Hawkeye. It felt like that's what his tweets were. And the second thing is just really looking at the tone of the first two episodes. It would be hard to kind of mesh this really sort of psychotic character into the way they're doing the show, and that's not to take away from the direction they're going in, which I love. It's just I'm not sure how they would mesh those two flavors together.
Well, Armand the Third did hint and powerful friends. So you never know.
Could be wrong, but I'm gonna call it a hold.
Okay. Well, fans, you heard it. The panel is split. We got to buy, we got to sell, and we got to hold. So we'll see who's right. The second one. The second one deals with the villain of the show. And people are saying online that the villain of the show will actually turn out to be Kate's mom. And she is the person who killed Armand III out of 7. And that's quite enough, I tell you. Actually, she will be revealed as Madame Mask as well. Well, what do you guys think? Taylor, buy, sell, or hold on this fan theory. Kate's mom is Madame Mask and the actual villain of the show.
That theory had not occurred to me in any way, shape, or form. Interesting. It would be very interesting if it did happen. I haven't seen anything to indicate it at this point, so I'm going to sell.
Yeah, it's based a little bit on the fact that they are hinting so much on Jacques Duquesne to be the villain of the show that it can't be right, because that's not the Marvel way. So the big twist will be that it's Kate's mom that is the villain. But you keep your sell?
Yeah, as of now, yeah, I'll keep the sell.
Okay. Lord Deathman, buy, sell, or hold on the theory Madame Mask is actually Kate's mom and she's the villain of the show.
All right. I was hoping I wouldn't be second, so I'd have a second to kind of contemplate this, but I'm on the spot now. It's been a minute since I read My Life as a Weapon, but I do believe that Kate Bishop's mom is either Madame Mask or she's affiliated with Madame Mask. So there is a heel turn in the source material for Kate's mom, for sure. That being said, I'm going to buy. And here's why. Mostly because you don't get an actress like Vera Farmiga just to kind of play somebody's mom and kind of like be generic, complaining, mother of a teenager. She is just such a dynamic presence as an actress that she could easily do the heel turn by the end of the show. And if I was, behind the series as a producer, that's why I would have bought her on. So I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it.
Well, last but not least, Jeff, buy, sell, or hold on the theory that Kate's mom is actually Madame Mask and the villain of the show.
I'll hold, just based off Lord Deathman's comments, kind of, I don't know, somehow connecting with me to where I guess, thinking about it, I can see how it could be permissible. Like I could see how the show could unfold in that direction. And I feel like what they set up in episode 1 and episode 2 actually kind of opens up the table for that to happen in a way. Mm-hmm. So I'm not totally all in on it, so I'm not going to buy, but I will definitely hold.
Okay. Well, and then I have a final fan theory we're going to discuss. And it's about Kate's father. He will turn out not to be dead, actually. He will be alive and on the side of the villains. So that's what I read online. People are saying he's still alive. Lord Deathman, what do you think? We didn't see the body.
Very true. And I have not had a chance to make the rounds in terms of what the fandom is speculating on this. But if you're asking me cold, I'm going to have to sell. I feel like we're all sort of conditioned into Mephisto, power broker, that kind of dynamic on this show. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, it doesn't feel like Hawkeye is going to go there. So I'm going to sell this one and say that the father is indeed dead and is not coming back as a villain.
Okay. Taylor.
Well, before I vote on that one, I just want to say I'm surprised that there's not a fan theory that the one-eyed dog is actually Mephisto.
Pizza dog.
Maybe next week. You never know.
But
you put it out here now.
As far as the her father being alive and coming back as a villain, I'm gonna hold, or excuse me, and I'll sell on that one. Don't see that happening. We only got 4 episodes left. We can't do too much here.
Okay. Finally, Jeff, what do you think? Is Kate Dad still alive?
I'm going to sell on that one. I'm not feeling it.
Well, Fandom, you heard it. A hard sell from the panel on fan theory number 3. Kate's dad is dead, and he's not coming back, according to our panel. Maybe you will score a point. You never know. Well, guys, is there anything we left out to discuss further on the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye that you just remember and you want to bring up?
I'm just wondering, should I sell my first run Hawkeye #1, Life as a Weapon? Because every time these shows come out, the comic books they're based on triple in value. So I'm like, do I need to reread this or should I just sell it?
You never know. I just want to throw it out there. I haven't heard anything about this or whatever, but don't rule out Daredevil popping up and having some kind of cameo in this series.
Here we go.
Well, no, but it's the theory that the Kingpin will show up in episode 5, right before No Way Home drops, and then Daredevil will show up in No Way Home. That's the theory. So, yeah,
Yep.
that could
That's
happen.
It's
It's a theory.
I have a feeling that there's gonna be a lot of other characters in this series by the time it's all said and done than like we think.
But Jeff, do you think it will be Daredevil or will it be Matt Murdock that shows up in the show?
Either one of the two. It'll either be just Matt Murdock, maybe seeing Echo or something like that, like maybe they're together or something, or we could see actual Daredevil.
Hey, Lord Deathman, spoiler alert, Matt Murdock is Daredevil.
Well, I mean the difference between let me be clear here. Will we see, because I think it would be a bit much to see Daredevil in costume when we already got 2 Hawkeyes, we got an Echo, but like a cameo from Matt Murdock doing his Legal Eagle thing, I could buy that.
We also get a Black Widow. Huh?
Right.
Yeah, we're also getting another Black Widow.
And that's just it, in all these theories and all these shows, people keep theorizing all these different characters coming in. There's only room for so many characters in a series like this, and we've
tell that to the guys who are making Spider-Man No Way Home. They got 3 Spider-Men, 6 villains, 1 Doctor Strange. You think they got enough in that burrito?
We could get Vale too. We could get Vale from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yep, but I don't think the multiverse is going to crack open during Hawkeye and let in all these other characters at this point. And I think right now, next week, we're going to meet Echo. We're going to learn a lot more about Echo starting next week. We still don't know anything about Jack the Swordsman yet. So there's
after all the money that Disney probably is going to end up losing with the Eternals, they might have to do some crazy multiverse shit in Hawkeye just to try to get the stock up.
The CEO's going to be out panhandling.
You guys already had that discussion.
Eternals is a success in my book, but anyway, that will conclude our review for episode 1 and 2 of Hawkeye. Before we finish, I would like to ask you to hit that subscribe button and notification bell on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page. Join the forum on Cigar. That way you will never miss us and we won't have to miss you. Bye.